All right, guys. So in this module, we're going to be talking about the importance of how you say things. Okay. And I honestly think like this is one of the most important modules. And I think this will help you guys a ton, not only when it comes to actually like writing iterations and variations, but just how to actually analyze copy the right way. Okay. So again, this is the importance of how you write. And just to jump straight in, again, it's not about what your copy says. Okay. I mean, it is to some extent, but it's really not about what your copy says. It's about what your copy is actually communicating. And the problem with most of you guys is that your copy actually doesn't communicate anything. Okay. And that's why it's not good copy. So, more famously said, it's not about what you are saying. Okay. It's how you are saying it. And this goes into just communication in general, right? Like when you go and have a conversation with someone and you just tell them that's like, if you just say straight to the face where, you're like, hey, you suck, right? You're talking to your employees, you're like, hey, you suck, right? It's like, it's not a great way to tell somebody that they suck, but you could say like, hey, the work that you're doing right here, I know you're trying really hard, but it's not actually giving us the outcome that we're looking for, right? You're not making the winning ads. And so what we need to do is we need to figure out a strategy of like how to, write this differently so that it gives us the outcome that we want. I'm essentially telling the person that they suck, right? They're not giving me the outcome that they want. Now, again, obviously in copywriting, we don't have the luxury, especially in direct response, of always like overly explaining things. So that's why direct response copy is so hard. But again, it's not what you are saying, it's how you are saying it. Okay. So I wanted to show some ad examples here. Again, examples are better than me just talking. So this is an ad that hopefully you've seen this ad. If you haven't, that's a problem. Not really, but it's a great ad. It's a newspaper ad that says, they laughed when I sat down at the piano, but when I started to play, right? Kind of like ... I don't know, because this was the old way of saying like exclamation point and like keep reading. Okay. And so here we have to ask ourselves like, okay, what is this actually communicating, right? They laughed when I sat down at the piano, but when I started to play, what is this actually communicating? Well, if you ask me, this piano ad is essentially communicating like people thought I was a loser. People thought I was incapable. They didn't think I could play the piano, right? And I proved them all wrong. I made them eat their words, right? I actually got the last laugh and I stole the show and I wowed everyone, right? This makes someone, and just to make sure my camera's not blocking it, we're good. This makes someone feel the emotion and puts them in that exact moment. Think about how visual that is, right? Think about you can almost dream that, right? It puts them in the exact moment of what it would be like to have the desire that they crave from learning the piano, and most importantly, like just impress everyone and again, get that last laugh. Right? Like think about how powerful that is. It's like, everybody was laughing, like, what is this guy doing? This guy's going to play the piano. And then it's like, you start to play and you can imagine everyone's face. You're like, holy shit, like this guy could actually play the piano. Like, holy cow, wow, this guy's the man, right? Like that is the feeling that headline creates. And that is exactly what this headline communicates, which is why it is so powerful. Now, let's compare that to a headline that a lot of you would write. With pianoteachers.com, I learned how to play the piano like a pro. Right? Now, when you read this headline, you're like, wow, this is a terrible headline. And why? Well, it's because there's no recognition of the core desire. So again, like the deep desire of like status, right? Like that's kind of what this ad communicates, right? It communicates like, oh, wow, they all laughed. But then you started to play and it's like, damn, this guy, this is the man right here. Like he earned everybody's, kind of recognition and got everybody's praise. Whereas this ad with pianoteachers.com, I learned how to play like play piano like a pro. There's just no recognition of that, right? There's no real emotion triggered. Of course, you learned how to play like a pro. And of course, pianoteachers.com is the best, right? It's terrible copy, right? And they are essentially saying the same thing. This is what I really want to draw attention to here is they are essentially saying the same thing. You will get better at playing the piano. But one communicates a completely different feeling and provides a completely different experience. Okay. Now, this is not a real campaign that they tried, by the way. This was me just making my own pianoteachers.com ad. That is terrible. And so I want you guys to understand that like this is not a real example, but like think about the difference of this headline versus this headline, right? It feels completely different and it communicates something completely different. Okay. And for the better. All right. Now, Another fantastic example is Avis is only number 2 in rent-a-cars, so we try harder. Okay. What is this actually communicating? Well, we have a logical reason for why, they need to deliver, right? Or why we need to deliver a better service. They're saying like, hey, we don't have the luxury of not giving you an incredible experience because we're number 2. But more importantly, they call themselves the underdogs, right? And not only is this a fully believable claim, but more importantly, this makes this emotion of underdog, right? This makes someone feel the emotion of being an underdog and of the underdog mentality. And it makes them want to root, aka, book book with Avis, but it makes them want to root for Avis because they're the humble underdogs. Like they're not the big dogs. They're not the ones that are supposed to win, right? And they were able to create that feeling because they were just transparent about their position. Now we're going to talk a lot more about position in the modules to follow. But again, Avis is only number 2 in rent-a-cars. So we try harder. Like most people wouldn't want to admit this, but because they admit it, they now get to actually position themselves as like, hey, we're going to try harder as a result of that. We're going to give you a better experience. Like think about what this is communicating and think about the feeling that it creates. It's like, oh man, they're number 2. Like, gosh, yeah, I want to root for them. I want to book with Avis because you know what? Not only does it benefit me, not only am I going to get a better experience because they do actually have to try harder. That makes sense. It's logical, but they're also the underdogs. Like, hey, I want these guys to win, right? Compare that to Avis is going to be number 1 in rent-a-cars. Now we've gone from like, let's go underdog to, yeah, of course you are, bro. Like this is now a brag, right? It's like a flex. Like we're gonna be number 1. It's like, sure, you'll be number 1, right? This now removes, and most importantly, the focus from the customer, right, to what Avis actually wants and what Avis will get, right? We go from like, hey, this is for you. Like we're number 2, and we're gonna try harder for you, and we're gonna try harder because again, we're number 2, versus we're gonna be number 1, right? Has nothing to do with the customer. And it communicates this like, it's a brag. It's like a flex, like, sure. All right, sure, you'll be number 1. Again, it's terrible copy. And they are essentially saying the same thing, right? They're saying Avis is number 2. They're both saying that, right? One obviously says it blatantly, but the other one is saying like, hey, we're going to be number 1, right? But again, it doesn't communicate effectively, right? And this is actually, unlike the piano ad, pianoteachers.com, this was a real campaign that they tried and it failed miserably. Okay. And so the best copywriters focus more on what their words communicate versus what the words say. Okay. Again, they are still saying the same thing. Like both, the piano ad talks about how you'll get better paying the piano, and the Avis ad talks about how they're number 2 essentially, or they're not number 1, right? But again, what it communicates is so much more important, right? And again, communicating in the fact of like what it makes the customer feel and what it makes the customer think. Okay. And so I want to give you guys a pro tip on this because it's like, all right, this is great to know. Like now you guys are aware, like what is my copy actually communicating, right? Is very, very important to know. But how can we just apply this right away? Well, the pro tip that I have for you guys is the next time you reviewed an ad that's doing well, say you review an ad on AdSpy, or you have a new winning ad, or you have a winning ad right now, don't just copy the ad word for word. All right, don't just look at it and be like, oh, this hook is working. Think about what is this hook communicating? Or what is this copy communicating? More importantly, what is the feeling that it communicates? And what is the desire that it's communicating? And then what you can do is you can execute it with different words to communicate the same thing, right? And that will actually give you a different hook. And so what I've said to you guys so many times where I'm like, execute differently, or like do a variation, execute differently. Some of you guys will go and rewrite your hook, but it makes no sense. And you lose what your original hook it was communicating, right? Just how Avis tried to do here. Avis was like, oh, well, we said that we're number 2 and we try harder. Well, let's just say like, hey, Avis is going to be the number 1 in rent-a-cars. But again, if you don't know why this didn't work, if you don't understand how to look at what your ad is communicating to the customer, it's going to be very hard for you to be like, well, why isn't this working? Right? But when I look at this, I'm like, I understand completely why this is working, because this goes from like, hey, we're going to try harder for you and we're number 2 and we're the underdogs, to we're going to be number 1. We're going to be the best. And this has nothing to do with rent-a-cars. right? Maybe this communicates like, oh, wow, they potentially have a good service and that's why they're going to be number one. But I don't get that underdog feeling, which is kind of the whole brand ethos that Avis had going for them. Okay. Sorry, somebody decided to call me. But what I wanted to say is I want to show you some ads of where Avis actually did make variations that communicated the same thing. Like this ad right here, Avis can't afford not to be nice, right? Are you working like a dog to get to the top? Shake hands with Avis. Avis can't afford dirty ashtrays or to start you out without a full gas tank or a new car like a lively torque Ford, a smile. Why? Because when you're not the biggest in rent-a-cars, you have to try harder. We do. We're only number two, right? So again, they get back to the point of like, we're only number two, but they're saying the hook is different, right? They're not saying Avis is number two, so we try harder. They're saying Avis can't afford dirty ashtrays, right? Avis can't afford not to be nice. Right. And then I love this one because then they identified the underdog ethos that they created. It's like, are you working like a dog to get to the top? Now they're building this like an identity that they're going after, right? A sub avatar, if you want to call it that, right? An avatar is like this person who feels like the underdog. They're going to book with Avis because that is relatable to them. They are the underdog, right? Shake hands with Avis, right? When you're not a top dog, you try harder. We're not even talking about rent-a-cars here, right? They're just saying like, hey, if you feel this way and you feel like you're the underdog, like come book with us because we are you as well in rent-a-car form, right? Think about how powerful that is, right? These words say something different, but they communicate the same thing effectively. Okay. And so that is kind of my action for you guys is like, go and review your ads and kind of ask yourself, like, what is the feeling that this ad creates, right? You guys probably have experience from like the valence and intensity stuff as well, but think about what your ad is communicating and think about how you can create variations that communicate the same thing. Because a lot of you guys create variations that communicate something different, or for a lot of you guys communicate nothing at all, right? And so that's the most important thing. That's why it is so crucial that you think about what your copy communicates and not just what your copy says.